Heyo everybody, Haku here with my read-through, or our read-through of Magical Girl Raising Project, or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku Restart, Chapter 7. Lazaline's Dream's the title. I can see it right there at the top of the deal. So yeah, last time after the mid-boss fight, which was amazing, was pretty much just them talking about the money split and talking about who they think the traitor might be. Found out about the Demon Lord edition. We had Snow White talking to the Master, but Snow White can't do anything within the Master's world because she's all powerful there. It's very, very interesting, I guess. And you know, maybe this whole 3-day rest period, they were theorizing, like the actual characters in the story were theorizing, you know, maybe this is to make it so that we can't forget about our home lives while we're in the game, and we can't forget about the game when we're in our home lives, to throw us off. But I think it may be also that if that's her power, it must take a lot of energy to keep 16 people, well, less now, but 16 people trapped in this world of your creation for 3 days. So maybe after 3 days of keeping them trapped there, she needs 3 days off to recover. It's like a cooldown period, maybe. That could always be a possibility. So, yeah, this chapter only has 20 pages, so, gonna be a lot easier on my throat, I feel. Maybe my voice won't quit out on me this time as much. So yeah, I guess. Was there anything else I wanted to discuss before starting? I guess not. Oh, if you want a link as well to the Discord and don't have one already, just tell me in the comments. We've been talking about Magical Girl Raising Project quite a bit there, and we can talk about stuff there as well. Other stuff, I guess. Whatever. Sorry, my nose keeps itching really, really badly. So yeah, let's go ahead and start reading through this chapter. Chapter 7, Lazaline's Dream, starting with Pechka. When she saw the newly deposited 100,000 yen, her heart didn't even throb. If she can get 1,000,000 yen, then it was okay to stop the game. Then she can cancel all her New Year's saving, and she'll tell her parents and grandfather to don't ask anything and just trust me. If she did manage to gather 1,000,000 yen. Chica wasn't the type of character to spit a lie if, for instance, she was pregnant because of some bad man. She had a fundraiser campaign with her friends, using her magical girl powers to make money. Wait, what? What? Chica wasn't the type of character to spit a lie, for instance, if, for instance, she was pregnant because of some bad man. She had a fundraiser campaign with her friends using her magical girl powers to make money. She remembered everyone's reaction when she cooked for them. It seems she can earn money from that. Even if she thought of such things, it stayed only in her mind. Because if she got 1,000,000 yen, the game stopped and there'd be no one nice around for her. All of that was confusing sounding. Like, I am confused at all of that. Basically, Pechka doesn't lie, but there was some weird example that doesn't make sense, but she was just fantasizing about it. It was very off the wall. Then she looked around, and when she was sure she was alone, she contacted Fall. I'd like you to tell me something, please. What is it, Pony? What happens if everyone just quits the game? Or basically, there are penalties for any magical girl that leaves the game, Pone. In short, the penalty is that your heart will stop, Pone. If everyone decided to leave the game all at once, then the game will be deleted, basically, Pone. What happens then? Well, they can never come back to the real world again, and they'll forever drift out in the net world, and that's why I don't recommend it, Pone. As she thought. You're not the first one to ask this question, Pechka. Please don't take it too hard, Pone. Despite the good, sympathetic nature of Fall's reassurance, for some reason Pechka got angry and turned off her magical phone. Her escape path was sealed. She couldn't abandon it, she couldn't even face the Master, she couldn't send a message to the land of magic. If she told others, would she also die? Because she had that in mind, she couldn't even ask for help. The Master who dragged her into this game had a clear direction. There was no choice but to clear the game. That's right, the long-awaited Game Clear. That Game Clear was getting closer. The next area is the demon's castle. They saved their candies, they upgraded their equipment smoothly. They were familiar with the game's battles, and with Pechka dedicating herself to a shield, she can get to work. Once they pass that Game Clear, everything will be over. Once they pass that game clear, everything will be opened. She prayed that she can stay safe until then, and as usual she clasped her hands together in the Buddhist altar, went to school, and ate with Ninomiya-kun after school in the park. For Chika, the healing of these 3 days passed by like an arrow. It was small, but it seemed long. She wanted to taste it slowly, but time won't stop. In the shadow of the setting sun, Petchka sat next to Ninomiya-kun. She always had the thought of talking to Ninomiya-kun about the game, which was actually a selfish one-man thing to do, and while she could try her hardest to do it herself, she would regret it because she should think about the others. If you're a boy of Ninomiya-kun's age, if you were warned by your teachers or parents, you'd remember that feeling of antipathy and might reflect it to others. Not only was there talent, but because he had humility, he may just be a baseball player yet. He was someone who you could only describe as a genius, and although she could think it was her arrogance, in the end it was just her selfish thoughts. And how about herself? Even if this wasn't a selfish behavior, she didn't do everything she could. In the library area, while Clantail was striking a demon with her spear, a devil would also strike from behind. Petchka can protect herself just fine, but she should have had enough time to yell out a warning, "Clantail, look out," or "behind you and attack." It was enough to just shout out those short words. Fortunately, Miyakata Nanako kicked that devil and Clantail didn't get attacked. That was just luck. If Petchka didn't do anything, Clantail might have died. Just thinking about it made her stomach hurt. If Ninomiya-kun didn't shout out when it mattered, then a flying ball to an outfielder that would have been caught, or that could have been caught, would have been a potential hit. And it was said that his coach would get mad at him for days. If he remembered that anger, he'd hold both his arms and bend his mouth downwards, and the air would become cold. It was important to shout out, and that could be applied to Petchka. She could shout out to Clantail, and it wouldn't be a problem. Perhaps next time she won't just protect herself, but she'll protect her allies as well. If there was a danger approaching, she'll yell out loud. If she yelled out loud and it was too late, then there's no doubt that it'd be terrible. But as long as she had her shield around her body, she'll try her hardest, even if it's so scary her legs won't move. Ninomiya-kun didn't know what he reflected on Petchka. Recently, the pitching machine broke, he said while talking straight. The park was wrapped in darkness. There was no one walking around the streets. There were 3 tortoise-shelled cats laying along the slides. Okay. Let me grab some water really quick before we move on to Detick Bell. Okay. Detick Bell time. The pampas grass was blowing in the wind. The willow trees were arranged orderly on the sidewalk near the station, and the street was appropriately named Willow Street. On the edge of those willow trees, more pampas grass was blowing. Although someone planted it, where did that species come from? If they did, why didn't they harvest it before it got too long? Just watching the pampas grass made her wonder. None of the passengers stopped their feet. They passed the pampas grass and the willow trees by their side. Everyone was thinking about themselves before they thought of the pampas grass, looking through the autumn sunset with a sentimental feeling. If Detick Bell were her original self, she would have thought the same. Mouse died, Melville is missing, and they invited the lone nokko-chan. Shadowgale and Fless seem to have broken up in a fight. Now the party's back to 4 again. Although their numbers have returned, they aren't combat ready. They couldn't fill the holes that Mouse with her overwhelming strength and Melville with her bow and arrow and disappearing powers had left. Nokko-chan wasn't the type to be good at battle. Fled lost her wheelchair, now using a magic carpet. Detick Bell was originally not good at battle. The fighting style of a detective is only to delay bad guys to a certain degree. She didn't have any preferences. It's not like she had professional training in fighting monsters. Inevitably, they were a non-hunting, scouting-centered party. Flo would give instructions. Detick Bell would find clues with her detective equipment like her magnifying glass, and if it came to battle, they'd fight with Lazaline in the center. Flo would retreat to a safe area and give instructions. Nokko-chan would swing her mop. Detick Bell would also use her cane. And Lazaline would throw her gems and disappear and then reappear again, confusing and hitting the shape-shifting enemy while posing and shouting out loud, "Blue Spirit, dancing in the battlefield, Lapis Lazaline." Nokko-chan! Her mop! Oh my god, so cute. Although she's been overshadowed by Chernamouse and Melville until now, Lazaline was strong and she had courage. When they were fighting the great dragon, she ignored any danger and jumped in front of a fireball, protecting Clantail, who was key to victory with her own body and suffering heavier burn injuries than anyone else. "Man, that was so hot and painful, I thought I'd die," she said afterwards with a light and non-serious tone, not even boasting about her contributions. Although Detick Bell didn't want to mimic her completely, it was very magical girlish to throw yourself at danger. Still, her aloofness is concerning. Deep in her heart, Detick Bell thought, "I don't believe it for a second." She was driven to investigate her. As a detective, Detick Bell's activities as a magical girl were mostly in Tokyo. The downtown areas were rural, and even if you gave out names, no one would recognize anybody, as people gathered from inside and outside of town. Still, the work of a detective and the work of a magical girl increased. This city was Detick Bell's city, so she specialized in directions. Tokyo suburbs, formerly an in-town. If you opened the door to JR Station and go underground, it only took 3 steps, you'd arrive at the entertainment district. The neon lights were bright, the people were crowded, the traffic jams were loud, and the atmosphere screamed danger. There were men with various clothes, there were various age groups, she could feel the spread of class and occupations. There were women in suits, and even in this cold weather, if they weren't careful, they'd be see-through. The skirts were short up to a point. Sorry, face just itches. This kind of instantaneous and energetic city, it wasn't the place where trees would be in the sidewalk surrounded with pampas grass. It was a mass of emotions not suitable for anyone, even if you're a magical girl. This was the city where Lazaline was based in, supposedly. With the appearance of that girl, she might be caught by the law, and it's not likely that she can take care of any policeman. And unlike when searching for Magical Daisy, she couldn't afford to have Lazaline see Detick Bell herself. Detick Bell continued to explore as much as possible in the form of Shinobu Hyoka. It'd be funny too, because I wonder if Lazaline would be like, "A detective girl, are you by any chance Detick?" Shinobu Hyoka was still a young woman. She wore a long-sleeved t-shirt with a jacket over it. Below it are some cotton pants, which look like she bought them off the neighboring department store. And although she looked like a regular person, a young woman coming out in this time zone was very suspicious, and she was especially thin in makeup, too. She couldn't help it if she had to buy them at the local department store, but now with her accessories arranged and with some hasty preparations, she didn't feel like she was being buried by the professional girls around her. Because of the season and how exposed she was dressed, it was cold even though she wore stockings. Furthermore, there were often people catcalling the hastily dressed Shinobu, which made her investigation even more difficult. She could investigate Magical Daisy in 3 days, but investigating the identity of Lapis Lazaline will take her more than 3 days. Although, when she remembered she was a detective, she wouldn't give up. She knew it from the beginning. She'll continue to rely on that. Sounds like, Detick is waifu in real life-u. The memory of a building was different than humans. They don't lose it, thin it, or disappear. Even if the tenants inside changed, even if the store is renewed, even if a fire alarm caused everyone to evacuate the building, and the building to be renovated, its memories will be safe so long as the original building was still there. She avoided the drunkards and used the back alleys, secretly transforming, kissing the nearby buildings, and asking them about Lapis Lazaline. Avoiding eye contact, looking at her surroundings so she wasn't spotted, was common to all magical girls. Even Detick Bell was familiar with that. Along the way, in a street full of passerbys, which forbid any car traffic, she saw a light truck passing by and honking. The driver had a similar hairstyle with Charlie Brown, with a beer can on one hand, the steering wheel on the other, humming as he held the steering wheel. Was he insane? Indeed, she was convinced that in this city, the room for a magical girl's work was larger, and so she walked further for information, or rather, she ran. So pretty much, Lazaline works in the sketchy part of Tokyo. Okay. At first glance, the red light district and magical girl wouldn't match, but contrary to first impressions, they were surprisingly compatible. Detick Bell knew by experience. Anyways, Detick Bell continued on. In the last maintenance period, she found a building which saw Lapis Lazaline. Even though all she did was jump on top of that building, finding clues was the key. From there, she followed Lazaline's tracks until she arrived at the rooftop of a business building, often used for her break time, and then she found a place where Lazaline tends to return to with her human form, a cabaret club. It's not that she went into the cabaret club as a human, it's just that people likely wouldn't pass through if she transformed as a human behind a cabaret club. She was a young girl, was the only impression that she got. Buildings don't lose their memories, but they found it hard to understand human characteristics. Even if they could distinguish by pictures, just hearing descriptions and looking at drawings, especially with Shinobu's skills, would be difficult for them. She opened up a part of her thin one piece on her chest with her index finger and took out a golden pocket watch. It's been a day and a half since she entered the second maintenance period. If possible, she wanted to find Lazaline's real identity in this maintenance period. There's no time left. She returned the pocket watch and breathed out a sigh. Although her breath didn't turn white, it was the season where it wouldn't be strange if it happened tomorrow. Huh? She turned back when she heard that familiar voice. Even in the dark, it was a familiar blue one-piece. Her white overknees emphasized her healthy thighs. Healthy thighs. Who else did we say healthy thighs about before? That was in another series where somebody described something as healthy thighs. Was that in the first arc? Either way, healthy thighs. A cloak that was held together by sparkling gems, a fluffy white furred cloak, a black and white striped tail waving from side to side, black hair arranged neatly to her shoulders, and under her right eye a small beauty mark was below it. Shinobu didn't rule out the possibility of meeting with Lazaline as she was investigating Lazaline. Because of that, she hid herself behind her human form. While she was careful to not be found in human form, she cared less about that. She made her clothes as spectacular as possible in order to be inconspicuous here, wearing a lot of heavy makeup. She shouldn't be noticed yet still. "It's you, isn't it, Belzy? What are you doing out here?" She re-examined herself. Even if she looks like Shinobu, she didn't look anything like Detick Bell. But if she was looking at herself, it was impossible to escape from it now. If she looked at her body after Lazaline calls out Belzy, then there's no doubt she was Detick Bell. Still, she couldn't make any excuses, she couldn't escape, she couldn't think of anything. Then Lazaline shook her hand pleasantly. "This isn't your neighborhood, is it, Belzy? Did you come on a trip? Ah, but that's not right. Why'd you go on a trip at a time like this? Ah, so did you come to visit me?" Lying, Shinobu slowly shook her head. "Really? Yahoo! That's so cool. If you came out to play as a surprise, Belzy. Do you know the street where I live in? Ah, but that's what detectives research about, isn't it? Just like when you looked for Magical Daisy. You're so cool, Belzy." While Shinobu was thinking about how to get out of this place, Lazaline was getting excited by herself. If she were a detective, she wondered if it was possible with evidence and hints to find a magical girl's place of residence. "Well, since you're here, Belzy, I'm going to invite you over to my place." No doubt about it. That was her ultimate goal, but she didn't expect she would be invited there. Lazaline closed her eyes and raised a blue gem. Lazaline mowed off. "De-transform!" When she shouted with a pose, she returned to human form. Originally, you don't really need to shout with a pose for a transformation. That was just Lazaline, thought Shinobu. "Alright, so I'm gonna invite you. Come on, Belzy." She was wearing a high school uniform. She had a blazer on. Her appearance was 16, maybe 17. Though she was still flashy, unlike Shinobu, she didn't have any thick makeup, just a normal one. Her eyeshadow was a light blue, her lips were red, her mascara was dark enough to be okay. Her cheeks were white, her hair color was a prawn-like brown, braided and kneaded in a complex form. Even when Shinobu was a high school student, she would meet flashy classmates like this. They tended to hang out with similar girls. They only talked about as much as necessary with her, speaking about common topics like school, as there's nothing interesting they could find to talk about with each other. "Belzy, what you doing? You're gonna get left behind." She moved her feet, keeping up with the high school girl who walked ahead. She couldn't read her purpose. She didn't know what she was thinking. She understood that she was in a bad position. I swear, if Lazaline just takes her to a building and kills her now. She entered the residential area from the back alleys. When she passed through the children's park, she saw schoolgirls on the seesaw, tilting back and forth depending on their weights, the girls never falling off from it. When she saw a cat walking on the sidewalk, Lazaline said, "How are you today?" And the cat said meow in reply. "Well, that's great. Keep it up, 'kay?" replied Lazaline back. She then looked at Shinobu and laughed. Although it was strange, it was innocent. She couldn't see any deception. She couldn't see anything she was hiding. As a result, Shinobu's spine became cold. "Over there." She pointed at an apartment complex. It was a 5-story building that was numbered. The white wall was illuminated by the moonlight. It wasn't a stylish apartment, not an old apartment, just an apartment complex. As usual, the high school girl ran off to one of the buildings through a parking lot where cars were stopped. She entered one of the entrances. It wasn't far from the entertainment district. Finding Lazaline behind the cabaret club, she wondered if it would just be sufficient enough to walk here. Yet it's quiet, dark, and cold. She felt intense enthusiasm and desire emanating from this place, not only in her footsteps, but even in her breathing. Not only in her breathing, but even the high school girl before her seemed like a fun high school girl. Dark, unpopular. If you got lost in these streets, you probably couldn't escape. However, even if you ran away here, they'll meet each other again in game. The only difference is that she would be questioned here, or later. The high school girl's footsteps should be aimed for her destination, yet why does it feel like it's on a whim? Furthermore, the cat. It was probably just a stray cat. As the night continued, she began skipping through the stairs by jumping 3 steps ahead. She didn't think the girl could walk without making a sound. Shinobu just followed behind. There was no nameplate. It looked very old. The keyhole and the hinges were corroded with red rust, but she was able to smoothly open and close the door. Did she put oil on it? The inside was tidier than she thought, or rather there was nothing much there. As she passed through the hallways toward her room, the girl pulled out a soft cloth-like a cushion. The lady of the house ran across the hallway again after that. Shinobu was left alone. The living room, or actually this might not be. This was probably Lazaline's room, but it didn't look like a place to live. It wasn't wide, there was only a drawer in the room. That was all. With the size of the drawer, the space had decreased to 2/3. Even looking from the front or back, there was nothing. If you stood up and looked at the top of the drawer, you'd see pictures lined up. When she reached out her hand to grab one of those pictures, the sliding door suddenly opened. "Sorry for the wait." There were 2 cups with black liquid on them in her right hand, and potato chips and confectionaries on her left. She was bending her knees and standing with one leg, probably because she opened the sliding door with her foot. Shinobu hurriedly tried to fix herself, but the picture fell. There was no dust. It seems like she cleans neatly. It was good that there was oil on the hinges, and even though the life signs of this room seemed to be weak, there was a strange imbalance with how attentive it was cleaned. Shinobu cleared her throat and sat down slowly. "Papa goes out late night 'cause of his job. It's just me at home right now. There's no need to hold back, Belzy." "Papa." She must mean her father. I know I call him Papa, but he's my real dad, 'kay? He must have had a strange thought. No, I didn't think anything was weird. It's been a while since she's heard her own voice. It was more cracked than she thought, compared to the smiling, carefree high school girl before her. She squeezed out the black liquid as it bubbled and shuffled and gave it to her. The potato chips flavor was that of seaweed potato chips with cola. Surprisingly straightforward, a little strange. Looking outside the window, the lower half of the building was sparkling with light. Even though it was intense, the hustle and bustle is gone somewhere. Pardon me. Thanks to the cola, her voice wasn't cracked anymore. How did you know I was Detick Bell? 'Cause I know, of course. Her face had an expression of, why don't you know? So Shinobu's face replied with a, how did you know face? The high school girl made a more mysterious-looking face under the girl's right eye. Under the girl's right eye, she could see her beauty mark. The position and size of that beauty mark was exactly the same as when she was Lazaline. Even though magical girls in their human form seemed to be completely different, there were always some common parts that they shared. I was disciplined about this by my mentor. Shinobu spat out. Fortunately, since there was no cola that she drank, it didn't stain the carpet. It was weird. She had the same thoughts as Lazaline, the mark with the same size and shape that she noticed. Then the timing of that explanation was so weird it was hard not to laugh. She held her belly as she laughed. She wiped her tears before turning back to the high school girl, her face suddenly looking sour. What's so funny? Nothing, sorry. My mentor really did teach me lots of things, you know. The high school girl stood up, reaching her hand to one of the chests in the drawer. Because of the height oh, shit. Oh, wait, no. Oh, it's Clanberry. Okay, I was about to say, is she about to say, my mentor taught me not to let anybody know who your real identity is and then kill her. But no, that was a ruler that told that to Swim. I was like, is she about to get Tama right here? Either way, though. Reaching her hand to one of the chests in the drawer, because of the height difference with Shinobu, she had to stretch out to reach the picture frames. Naturally, the pictures were there for decoration. Two magical girls were smiling side by side. One was Lapis Lazaline, the other one was a head shorter than Lazaline, blue hair in the back, with a smiling appearance, and although the physique was small, she looked older than the smiling Lazaline. This is my mentor. Was she your test examiner when you became a magical girl? No, she's the old Lapis Lazaline, my predecessor. Shinobu wrinkled her brows. She didn't understand what she was saying. I'm the second Lapis Lazaline. I got the name from my predecessor. Shinobu became even more confused. She asked questions. If she began to derail, she'd correct herself. Slowly, she understood her meaning. This girl, before she became Lapis Lazaline, she was a magical girl by the name of Blue Comet. While she was doing her activities, there was someone who had gained a high status in the land of magic by the name of Lapis Lazaline, who discovered her talent. The previous Lapis Lazaline enthusiastically took in Blue Comet. Her body and mind were tired. She couldn't continue to be a magical girl anymore, but she wanted to leave behind the name of Lapis Lazaline. This was the evidence that she owned. If she couldn't do it, she'll pass on the Lapis Lazaline name for generations to come. And the price for that, she'll teach those magical girls everything she knows. She'll make them the best magical girls if they listen to her request. It was rather selfish. She didn't think about anyone else's troubles. Usually when you hear such selfishness, you wouldn't even lend near to them, but Blue Comet wasn't an ordinary magical girl. She was a bit of a quirky magical girl by herself. She loved fun things, she loved amusing things, and so, if she had the chance to do those things, it was easy for her to just throw away her name and inherit someone else's name. Changing a magical girl's name wasn't originally permitted at first. However, the first Lapis Lazaline fully utilized her position and network of connections, and she was prepared, not just for the legal paperwork, but also for forging Blue Comet's new name. Who she wasn't ashamed of using, but just becoming a magical girl wasn't enough. Knowledge and techniques, training methods, philosophy, all those other things were taught, and thus the second Lapis Lazaline was born. Special knowledge and techniques couldn't be faked, at least not very easily. Although Detick Bell was Shinobu Hyoka, Lapis Lazaline easily found out her real identity. It was impossible without those skills and knowledge. She began her activities as the second Lapis Lazaline. Basically, she trained in the mountains, occasionally coming home to help people and see the results of her training. That's why there was no indication of her ever living in her room. Perhaps her father would clean up her room, even if his daughter wasn't there. It seemed sloppy and seriously rather strange, but after explaining her succession training, she understood why. And how's school? I stopped. I don't really have time for it if I'm a magical girl. Well, I still play with my friends, and it doesn't mean I can't hang out with them. And your dad's okay with this. Papa trusts me a lot." He was tired, but it was rare for a tired father to completely trust his daughter like that. Of course, blood is thicker than water is a common thing. "I know it's not my place to worry about other people's affairs, but if you don't go to school, why do you wear that uniform? My clothing size before I became a magical girl doesn't really match me. Besides, if I wear a jersey, then what am I doing out there, right? So I wear a high school uniform instead. And the makeup? Oh, I keep it in the fridge." She wasn't asking where she keeps the cosmetics, she wanted to know why she wore the makeup, but it felt stupid to ask more questions. Why was Shinobu even asking these questions? Surely she did want to ask her some questions, but she was served cola and chips and lazuli, she even told her how she became lapis lazuli in the first place. Is there something else you'd like to talk about?" "Something else? Well, this one's more serious." "Serious?" The high school girl tilted her head. This was troubling her. "Why weren't you worried about the reason I came here?" Shinobu said it herself. "Who? You, Belzy? The reason you came is to come over and play, isn't it?" No. Why would I come to play at a time like this?" "Oh, so it wasn't." Her head was tilted to the right now. Her head that was tilted to the right now tilted to her left. Her chin was looking up to the air. It wasn't. It seems to be looking at the end of the fluorescent lamp's plastic string. "Ah, I see." The high school girl clapped her hands together. "So, you want to discuss what we're going to do next, right? That's the serious talk you wanted to have, right? Because we're going to reflect and stuff." Shinobu stuck her tongue out on the edge of her lips, and her head began to hurt. When she heard that she was selected by the previous lapis lazuli, she wondered, why'd you select the same colors? Of course the person who originally found her talent had her nose held high, but based on lapis lazuli's name, it had to be a blue magical girl. Their appearance was more important than their talent and personality. That's why lapis lazuli had chosen the same colored magical girls, and that's why she picked Blue Comet, is what Shinobu guessed. Now, looks like that guess was wrong. Surely it was her personality. Whether it's good or bad, she wasn't concerned. Against her opponent's malice, she was surprisingly, indescribably nice. Not noticing what was going on at all, she probably wouldn't even be aware if something happened right before her. Even if she was being suspected, she simply had no way. It was meaningless, no point doubting her. Why did Shinobu come here? With her suspicion and doubt, she wondered why she acted this way. This was all because Melville said some suspicious things. Melville is just bad in general. Shinobu drank all the cola in her cup and then burped out. Melville is just bad in general. "Ah, Melly? No, I'm worried about Melly." "You don't have to worry about her. She's fine." Melville was fine with anything. Shinobu wished she had some of that attitude. "What's wrong, Belzy? You look super tired." "Well, you probably would be tired. You work so hard in the game. And you're a detective in real life, too." "Yeah, I'm a bit tired. I think I'll go home for now." But you just got here. You can't go home now." She was stopped by the high school girl. She wanted to leave. All I can think now is, what was in that cola? Did your girl, Belzy, just get Bill Cosby'd? She was stopped by the high school girl. She wanted to at least introduce her to her papa before she came home, just as a greeting. Her father, who seemed to be straight and honest, even though he looked different from his daughter. He seemed happy when she said she'd met her first real detective. He was really a parent. After she finished greeting her father, the high school girl pulled her away again. They sang karaoke like there was no tomorrow, and after drinking more alcohol, they sang again and again until they finally lost consciousness. Okay, so they just got drunk and did karaoke until they passed out. I want to trust Lazaline, but she is too nice. And when you're too nice, it either means you're going to get taken advantage of and killed, or it's too good to be true. And I don't know if she's too good to be true. Like, what if she just sort of made her pass out in order to kill her or something? I have no idea. Let's move on to Shadow Gale. I like Shadow Gale. Shadow Gale is like one of my absolute favorites. I'd say Shadow Gale is she my favorite character? Shadowgale's probably my favorite character, and I would say Melville in second right now. Those two are probably my top favorite characters right now. On the study desk, Konoe's notebook PC was open. Konoe rolled the cushion down below her feet. Konoe's aroma pot was located on her window, filled with incense. On her chair was Konoe's balance ball, and Konoe was on top of it. On top of the chair and on top of the balance ball, her head was in a high position. While Momori was sitting on the bed, she would naturally have to look up when speaking to her. Even though it's getting irritating how much Konoe constantly occupies Momori's room, it's unreasonable that she had to look up while speaking to her. Momori didn't know if she had to grit her teeth at the fact Konoe took advantage of such a situation, but Konoe continued to talk proudly. The next area is the Demon Lord's Castle. It's not just an impression that you get from its name, but the next area is where we'll stop according to a message in the game. The end of the game is drawing near. We're already nearing the end of the game. That's right. So if we're near the end of the game, why'd you push me away? Just in case. Really? That's it? You know I can't lie to you, Momori. Konoe laughed elegantly and the balance ball shook. Because she thought she might fall in the unstable chair, Konoe placed her hands on the chair's armrest. You seem to be doing all right, Momori. If you say that, then I'm probably doing all right, I guess. She was excited to try her hardest to succeed, and if she actually succeeded, then honestly she'd be happy. But since she has to repeat it over and over, she already wore out her excitement, and now she's suffering and being forced to do simple tasks. Like a chicken laying eggs endlessly. That would be a close analogy. Am I wrong? Well, all I can think about now is Shadowgale laying eggs. Stop it, brain. Am I wrong? Well, I seem to be going around in a loop. I see. Like, little chibi... All I'm picturing in my head now is little chibi bird Shadowgale hopping around, pecking at the ground, and then laying eggs. I can't stop now. Well, I seem to be going around in a loop. I see. But you're okay doing this, Momori. Then I'm glad. But if you're okay doing this, Momori, then I'm glad. I'm doing quite well on my end as well. This is my first time in a party of 4, and there was some anxiety about mixing 3 parties together, but it's disappeared now. Far from starting the game, it seems like we've been able to build a smooth human relationship, as if we knew each other before the game started. It seems that way. Our worry about our battle plans also ended quickly. Lapis Lazuli was more of a combat magical girl than I thought. Her speed and power were excellent, and other than that, everything's wonderful. How she uses her powers in battle, I've grasped it completely. How she moves her body in combat, it's not just a simple magical girl movement. It was the movement of someone who was trained in battle. I see. Konoe, who had been talking non-stop, finally closed her mouth and saw Momori. She just noticed that she was only replying with half-hearted answers. Momori, are you angry? She didn't reply. Momori only looked up at Konoe, who had a smile on her face. Like a rusted robot, she unnaturally pointed her right arm to the girl. My lady. What is it? The exit's that way. Well, thank you for your kindness, and thank you for telling me. She bounced off the balance ball and landed on the floor wonderfully. The balance ball, the cushion, the notebook PC, all her personal belongings were picked up in a swoop. As she went to the door, she held her right hand on the knob. Ah, that's right, she muttered, remembering something. I might be a fool who doesn't know the limits of my abilities. Huh? I'm doing things that I'm not supposed to be able to do. Konoe went out of the room without saying anything else. Momori, who was left behind, also forgot her anger as she thought of Konoe's words. It was something like everyday Konoe it was something the everyday Konoe would say. Perhaps Konoe's... So, I'm guessing her ability really isn't the chair, and she doesn't know she's doing things that she's not supposed to be able to do. I think means that she's pushing those, whatever her abilities are. Not just her actual physical abilities, but I'm thinking her actual magical abilities. Okay? It wasn't something the everyday Konoe would say. Perhaps Konoe's party wasn't going so well. Even though just a while ago she was teasing Momori, was she aiming for that frustration? Momori looked at the door where Konoe had left. Master Side part... Man, over so quick. Master Side, well, I mean, I guess it's been probably close to an hour. 40 minutes. Master Side Part 7. Sorry, my face itches. Okay. So, Hold on, let me grab some water before I read Master Side, actually. Just to be safe. Click, click, click. You could only hear the sliding sounds of the Rubik's Cube and the operating sounds of the computer, with the cube changing shape at the girl's fingertips. There was no one moving the image of the magical girl projected on the monitors. Looks like I made Snow White angry. No one responded to the girl's voice, but the girl kept on talking regardless. Thought I could really get along with her. Creak, the door bent open. When the girl looked at the entrance, the door opened as if being blown by the wind. It's not that there were any visitors, it's just that it's probably broken now that it's been beaten down before. The girl sighed and snapped her fingers. The door closed without being moved. Incidentally, she snapped her fingers again. The door was wrapped in a rough mosaic pattern which gradually became finer before disappearing. After disappearing, it became neither a knob-turning door nor a push-to-open door. Instead, it became a glass automatic door. During this time, the girl continued moving her cube with her fingertips, and the monitor situation continued to change from there. It's almost time for them to reach the Demon Lord. I wonder if they'll be surprised. There's someone doing suspicious things among them, but I wonder if they'll do it the next time they get the chance. It's healthier not to, right? Since it's within the scope of the rules, it doesn't really matter, and the weather seems fine. A night sky with no clouds, moon, or stars, a daytime with no clouds and only the sun, and it always stays the same. It's like I'm still in a real game. I've also been troubled a lot as the game went on. Of course, some players dislike me. But when I made the new Magical Girl Raising project, every one of them responded, one by one. The girl glanced at her magical phone. While its power supply was off, it didn't shake. My mascot should do some more work. It's troubling for a master to do all the status checks. I'm fine with you going on strike, but at least do your job, too. However, he was only made to explain the rules of the game to the magical girls. Fall may actually be trying to help the magical girls. If he told the answers for the hints and tips directly, the game would delete its players. Because of that, Fall won't go against that rule. If he didn't tell them directly, it was like that one time with the lowest number of magical candies events. He told them the one person with the lowest amount of magical candies will die, emphasizing the one person, seemingly guiding them to the right answer. Well, that's fine. She didn't blame him. She said not to tell them directly. She never said anything about indirectly implying. The girl will keep her word. However, if you do anything extra, like if you read any unnecessary lines that I didn't include, I'll delete everyone from the game. She hammered that nail in the coffin. Fall didn't reply, but there was no reason that he couldn't hear her. If Fall was the type to give everyone these little hints, then she was right to not tell him anything about the Demon Lord. If he even gave out hints of the Demon Lord through euphemisms, they may just turn white. The girl hated the Demon Lord, yet she still made this game with great care. If she didn't share information to the mascot character, who would have all the information in the game, then the game really did seem like a game. Only the master knew the truth about the Demon Lord. That's why they're playing the game as it is now. She'll make use of it next time. The girl released her fingers from the cube, and although there was nothing supporting it, it was still in the air, sliding its pieces. Okay, some thoughts really quick before ending this. I actually really liked, it was pretty much just a transition chapter, but I really liked that. I thought it was necessary, and a big reason I liked it is because we got to see them in their human forms again. We got to see more of Momori and Konoe in their human form, which I've liked every time we've seen that. And most importantly, we got to see the stuff between Detick, Bell, and Lapis Lazuli, which was great, and I still don't know how I feel about how it ended, but it was great. Also, the fact that the older adult Detick just went out and got the teenaged Lazaline so drunk that she passed out. That's not very good sounding, is it? But yeah, either way, I suppose we'll find out more about all of the important plot points. This was more just checking in with the characters, like Pechka we checked in with as well. But next time, I feel like we'll probably get into more of the important plot points. I mean, we only have 4 chapters left now, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm going to be trying to post these every Sunday, like I have been trying, but since we're getting close to the end, if the chapters are kind of short where they won't take that long and I really can't wait a week, I may post some early. So if there are some up early, then that's why. But should be a week between each. This should be up this Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my read-through, reaction, all that. Subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project and much more. Follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. Also, if you want a link to the Discord, just let me know. That is it, so thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.